Welcome back to the Lady Lorian Show, everybody. I'm Kath. This is Kenzie, Dodge, and Ruthie. Thank you for listening in. This week, we're going to be talking about The Mandalorian, Chapter 12, and a bunch of other fun topics. So stick around.
Okay, well, welcome back. First, we should probably thank Michael for last week's episode. Thank you, Michael, again.
Thank
That
you,
was
Michael.
amazing. We had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun editing that. But
All pretty much 2 hours of content.
2 hours of content, I only had to cut out an hour. So listen, that's pretty good.
Pretty good.
That's about half of what we filmed.
This week's episode, how we feeling? What's opinions? What's some things that, we feeling today?
We didn't get to see Ahsoka.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's next week.
Were we
Yeah.
surprised? No.
I'm
Next
very
week
excited
is Dave Filoni's episode. So
yeah.
Did you hear about the title
Yeah.
change?
Yeah.
Wait,
What's
what?
up with that?
The title's called the Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited.
So
What do you guys
I'm
think
ready.
about that?
Do we
don't
think
know
that
Ahsoka
Rex is-
says in season 7, "I'm no Jedi,"
That's true.
so it might not be in direct reference to Ahsoka.
Watch Luke walk out. It's like, psych. You thought you were
What about how, there's a theory going around that we're going to see Rex in this episode as well.
I've seen that.
I don't think-
really.
I
That
don't
maybe
think
Rex and
so.
Ahsoka might be together.
He's an old fart.
Yeah,
He's an old fart with my heart.
He's gonna be so old though, like so old.
Yeah.
Okay. I do love him though. I would love to see him in live action. What a king.
I would love to see Boba Fett. I'm not gonna lie. I would love to see Boba Fett and Rex in the same room together.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
I don't know if they're gonna do that though. Like if they're gonna put I don't even know if they're gonna show Boba in the rest of the season, to be honest.
They literally, oh my gosh, he just walked
I feel
off
like-
the Tatooine on that one.
I feel like, yeah, last time we saw him, he was walking on Tatooine. Like, I feel like they just threw that in there to, like, be like, oh, there's Boba. He's still alive. Like, and not, like, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see if they expand on
We'll
that.
see him in like 2 seasons. They'll be like, oh, remember this?
So a while ago, I heard that we're only going to do 3 seasons of The Mandalorian. What?
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 I don't know. It was just somewhere on Twitter, and it said that there's only going to be 3 seasons. It could have been like a satirical account or something, but a ton of people were talking about it. I don't know if you guys saw
Really?
it
When was this?
at all.
Is this today?
Like 3 months ago, give or take.
Okay.
And
My
I
memory
was like,
only
oh,
goes-
that sucks.
My memory only goes back 3 days, so
I don't know. I feel like I feel like the smaller the series is, the better it is. I feel like that tends to happen. I mean,
you
right? Because then they
You
just
stretch
start,
out a series and you end up losing more and more to talk about. And so
Yeah.
eventually you're just pulling stuff out of thin air, and it just doesn't make sense. And it
yeah.
sucks.
So I don't know how I feel about that. I want there to be 13 seasons, to be honest. But
That would be
This
great.
is not Grey's Anatomy, Dodge. Reel it back.
okay.
I do think
but-
that Boba Fett has to come back though, because that was just
Yeah.
such a big cliffhanger, especially the fact that Din is the one who ends up with his armor. I feel like they're gonna cross paths again.
I don't think Boba Fett's going to be in this season. There is not enough time for Boba Fett in this season. In my opinion, bringing
There-
Ahsoka in, like this is like the climax, of like what's going to happen and what we found out in this episode with the child. And I just don't think there's enough time for a Boba Fett episode or 2 inside the Ahsoka one.
we're already halfway through the season. So, like,
Yeah,
so
yeah, already halfway through.
I just like
Makes me
don't
so
see
sad.
them doing it. Like, I don't know. As of right now, he like doesn't have a reason to go back to Tatooine,
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I just don't see it happening this season, at least. Maybe him and Mr. Cobb Vanth meet up again in season 3, and that's when we see Boba again.
That would be
But-
nice.
I
Have
feel
you
like
guys
each-
seen all the Cobb Vanth merch on her universe?
Yeah.
They've been
I have
like
not.
stocking merchandise like by the episode. of The Mandalorian. So
That
I
makes
can
sense.
imagine there's going to be a lot of Ahsoka related merchandise.
I do not have money.
There's
to
already
keep buying stuff.
Bo-Katan stuff too.
I feel like the way that the seasons of the Mandalorian is going to work, or kind of does work, is like I feel like each season they should really only bring back like one pivotal character that we know already, I mean, otherwise it's just overwhelming and it takes away from Din Djarin. But like this season's going to be Ahsoka, and then maybe next season it'll be Boba Fett or Rex or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like last season's it wasn't necessarily a character, but more the object of the Darksaber. Like seeing that come
Mhm.
back, we were like, oh my god, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna hopefully possibly see Ahsoka in this next episode, and then we're gonna have a very similar reaction, if not a more dramatic one.
Yeah, I don't know how this season's gonna end. I like deep down, I'm like, okay, I feel like it's gonna end with Din, not with the child. Like I feel like whether like Moff Gideon gets him or Din gives him up to Ahsoka, I feel like we're gonna end with no child and Din, and I feel like that will set up the next season to Din getting the child back in some way or another, realizing
Yeah.
he's the true father.
Well, do you think eventually they're gonna ditch the whole child thing and like play it like, I don't know.
I think it just depends on like what the child's like ultimate fate is, you know, like because Dodge and I actually like talked about this a little bit earlier, is that like in the sequels we don't see Baby Yoda and whatever he becomes. So like obviously that's
Well,
like that's 25 years from now. So like in 25 years the
he's
child
probably still like a toddler. Like, don't they not really fully mature till
Well-
around 200?
But
but that's when Yoda was training Jedi when he was 200.
Mm.
So it's like in
So if
25
he
years
would be 125 years old. No, sorry, that was 75
In
years
20
old. He'd be 75.
yeah, he'll be 75. So like I mean he's still gonna be like young, but like I feel like during the sequels, obviously, like if he was like gonna make an appearance or like he's still prevalent, like he would have been seen in it. So it's like either like him and Din go off and like together and
We-
he's not pursuing being a Jedi.
Mhm.
Or
You guys
something
know
happens.
that Baby Yoda's in Jedi Fallen Order, right?
No.
you think I know
I
this?
did not know that. Okay, this is why we need you and Izzy on the show, because the rest of us aren't huge gamers.
But okay, the whole Snoke thing, literally, I don't know how I feel about it.
I know.
I don't know how I feel about it because if Snoke, we know
Oh.
Snoke lives in
Yeah.
the sequels, so the child
Oh yeah.
either has to be taken, like either blood or whatever, or they find someone else. But I would not be surprised if the Mandalorian ends and the child's dead, and then Din is like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
That's like kind of the track that I'm on, is that something happens to the kid.
All right,
Yeah.
everybody.
wow, what am I? Looking
Oh,
That's a real that's a real snippet. So there's Baby Yoda right there.
Wait, is this the actual graphics in the video
Yes.
game?
Okay, the graphics are way better.
What
This
the
was an Easter egg put in by the creators. You can only find it once, and once you find it, it's gone forever. But yeah,
That's
no,
the
it
graphics?
was just an Easter egg thrown in, and you're in one of the temples, and you jump down to this like little cave. I don't know how to explain it very well, but and you can find it. It's really interesting.
But isn't Jedi Fallen Order after Order 66? Like how long after Order 66 is that?
I think Cal Kestis Jedi. Well, so I think it's 5 years into the rise of the Empire. No, like 5 to 8.
Okay.
Which
So Baby Yoda though would have only been like 20 years old during JFO.
Yeah, let's see real fast. Where does Jedi Fallen Order? So the game is set sometime after Order 66, but before the events of Rogue One.
Okay.
oh, interesting.
Takes place 5 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
Baby Yoda's probably still like
Could he walk then?
this big.
Well, it's
No.
I mean, it was 25 years ago. Was he even walking in the first season? Barely, right?
Yeah.
He
He was mostly in the
He's
crib.
just a ball of muscle.
really fun thing to observe about Baby Yoda is in the first season he wasn't babbling, and now he's talking left and right.
I
Yeah.
know.
Easy.
Still think that we may get a first word.
Bro, there's so much stuff. There's so much
There's
so much stuff's gonna happen this season.
in the
Oh, I
next
know.
4 episodes. Like, think about that. Like, literally, there's only 4 more episodes left this season. So, like, how much is gonna happen? Like, the
There's
next
so
episodes
much.
are probably gonna all be insane.
Yeah, everything I've seen has just been like the last 4 episodes are going to be like a wild ride. Cuz like we
Well-
talked about this in like the last episode or a couple episodes ago about how everything we see in the trailers is only out of the first 3 episodes, and we were like so shook when the trailers came out, you know, and so much happened in the trailers, and that's not even the tip of the iceberg.
When everyone panicked about Din jumping off the cliff without having the child with his jetpack, and then we
That
like
was
realized
me.
that he was just
That
going to
was
get the
my
Razor
tweet.
Crest.
Yeah, I definitely like was about to say that about like how the first 3 like episodes were the only things shown in the trailer. How like obviously whatever that is in these last episodes, like they were obviously trying to keep a secret because they didn't include any of it in the trailer.
Yeah.
So I am very excited to see what those things are.
Yeah, because okay, we know we find out his name because
Yeah.
we know we found his name, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna hear his first words. I mean, in some way or another, and the hinting of Din taking off his helmet.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I don't think he's gonna take it off. Like, you know,
I don't
You
think
know,
we're
like
gonna see it this season.
I saw
Really?
a post that said that the actor that took off like part of the helmet and you saw the chin wasn't Pedro.
it's
It was
Brendan
Brendan.
Wayne. I know that man's chin. But there was so much controversy about that. Everyone was like, "That's not Pedro. Like, why wouldn't it be Pedro?" And I don't think people understand like how much Pedro was in the episode. I can physically see when Pedro's in the suit. He was in the episode. He just wasn't in there for that scene. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think people don't know Pedro Pascal's chin unless you're, obsessed with
When
it.
that scene
Yeah.
happened, did everyone kind of like do the same thing that the child did and go,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
I did. I was wondering if he was
Let me
going to
look.
take it all the way off. I was like, huh?
That was a big step for us because then that helps. I think that Din's gonna take off his helmet in front of the child. That's what
Well-
I think. Whether we see his face, but I feel like we're gonna see him take off his helmet. We won't see his face in front of the child.
I think that, yeah, I definitely think that's like where they're going to. Like, I think they're going to show us like Din getting more and more comfortable with this idea of like his clan of Mandalorian isn't how like everyone does it. Like, maybe there is a world in which he can take off his helmet. And this was obviously like him showing his chin was like the first step in that. But I don't know if we're going to see it this season. Again, there's just like so much left to do in this season that like helmetless Din. Like, I don't know if
Yeah.
that fits into what's going on for the rest of the
I
season.
want it to.
I'm gonna call Child Social Services on Din Djarin.
Oh,
It is
God.
very important for a baby to see a parent's face and their facial expressions for
that?
growth. So, Mr. Baby Yoda is not receiving any of that stimulation.
Mm-mm.
This is
gonna
true.
grow
He's
up
getting
and
it all
be-
from the outside and not his own guardian. I wanted to go back and talk about the Snoke thing really quick because Kath jumped in with the JFO point right as we had started that conversation. So to anybody who didn't know what we were referring to, there's a big theory that people have developed after Chapter 12 was released that the hologram we see from the Doctor in season 1, that whole conversation he was having, the message he was relaying was about harvesting midichlorians from the child's blood to essentially create Snoke.
I mean, it's definitely those clones are Snoke, like, or are
Yeah.
what the prototype for Snoke because they do play Snoke's music during that scene. So we do know that's like literally him in there or what's going to be him, which I am like kind of like, I don't know, part of me is like conflicted because I'm like, oh, like Skywalker saga getting brought into this. But also I do think there are like a lot of unanswered questions about like this time period and like when Snoke actually like when they actually cloned him and stuff or made that clone thing of him, because obviously we see Palpatine die at the end of Return of the Jedi. The Force Awakens happens, like Snoke is already in power. So there's like this what happens during this 30-year gap question marks, and obviously this is
Yeah.
going to help start filling that in.
I just I'm conflicted about it because I love the Mandalorian because it's separated from everything, but I also feel like this is gonna fill a lot of gaps that are in the sequels. So I'm conflicted because like the sequels, there's just so much stuff that we didn't know, especially in the Rise of Skywalker, and I feel like this will, if this like works out, I might end up liking the Rise of Skywalker. Who knows?
That's a bold comment right there, baby.
I'm saying it because if I knew the contents, I feel like Rise of Skywalker wouldn't be as bad as it is.
If you can fill the gaps, I love watching like the prequels after having seen the Clone Wars and being like, this is happening there and this is happening there and this is what's going on here, and it's just we love it.
I definitely like hope, but also again like I hope we get it like as like bits of knowledge, but that again it doesn't take over the whole story. Like we keep getting Din's like the like I just don't want it to distract from Din's story.
Yeah.
Like Revenge of the Sith, finding out that all of that happens after the last time Ahsoka and Anakin see each other destroyed me.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. We can talk all about Clone Wars season 7 sometime, but because that's a whole thing on its own.
I'm not in the mental state to do that right now.
Yeah, me either.
I can't handle that.
Definitely once the Mando season is over, we can start having some Clone Wars conversations and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yes, please.
Now that you bring up that conversation, like I'm not surprised that we're filling in gaps from the sequels, because like if you look back at the whole franchise, like that's kind of what's been done. Like a storyline is presented and then we're left with a lot of questions, and then the content that comes after said storyline does the same thing that is possibly happening now with the Mandalorian and fills in those gaps.
Like Rebels filled some gaps for the original trilogy, and then the Clone Wars filled some gaps for the prequel trilogy. So hopefully some gaps in the sequel trilogy are going to be covered by Mandalorian events.
I don't know, just like the whole Snoke thing was the first time that I was like, oh my gosh, at the end of the Mandalorian, Din and the child could die. And Dave Filoni would do it. And I was and it was like the first time I was like, wait, this could like hold, because we know Snoke lives. And we know Baby Yoda would still be alive during that time. Okay, so did he die? Did he just get his blood? Did he find another donor? Like, I'm so like into this now that I'm like, oh my gosh, he's gonna die.
I also like that we're hearing about midichlorians, in this era, because obviously we never heard about that in the original trilogy, because that idea wasn't established until the prequels came out. So to make the connection to the prequels too, it's like everything is coming together in The Mandalorian, from Star Wars past and Star Wars future. It's like the glue between the trilogies.
I do just I am thinking, this is like getting so deep into like the Snoke stuff, but like, so obviously the hologram was to Moff Gideon, right? So like, why is Moff making Snoke clones? Like, that's like my thing. Did Palpatine like before he died tell Moff, like that's what my biggest question is.
We know that Palpatine cloned himself before he died, so he still could be like in contact.
Yeah, well, isn't Snoke like technically a failed Palpatine clone anyways?
I thought they were completely separate. Because Rey's dad was a failed Palpatine clone, and he was pretty normal.
Did they talk about
Spoiler
that?
alert for Rise of Skywalker that came out a year ago.
This
What's
time
your
last
ground
year,
out?
yeah.
Towards the end
Um,
of that movie. Sorry.
No, they don't say it in the movie, but Sheev never had a biological child with a woman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dad,
I
did you
didn't
not realize this?
As you can tell, I love The Rise of Skywalker. It's my favorite movie. I watch it all the time, and I pay attention to all the little
No,
details.
it's not like in the movie, but if you do like the timeline and stuff,
It's implied because
Yeah.
he does call Rey his granddaughter, and unless Sheev
I just
had
thought Palp had
an
a kid.
affair,
Very
it would
late.
have had to have been a clone.
Wow, that made me feel really dumb. I might edit.
No, you're not dumb. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in.
there's
It is an overwhelming piece of information.
I just
Oh yeah.
maybe I've seen too many memes about Palp, and yeah.
Grandpa
Um,
Palps.
Can we talk about Baby Yoda's school?
Oh my god.
Oh
yes.
my
gosh. They had
Remember how no one
iPads.
noticed him using the Force. Like there was no one in that costume that was like, "Whoa!" Like,
No,
Like
I don't
that.
know. I just okay. How many months are between the season finale of The Mandalorian and this season? Because I'm like, how do you freaking build a school in that little time financially? You know.
Financially. That's the
Yeah, how-
business
they-
student
how
in
did
you
they
coming
get
out.
Yeah.
protocol droid.
Did you guys see the IG-11 memorial?
Statue.
Yeah.
I know. I miss him. He
That was
He
sweet
probably one
though.
of
That
my
was
favorite.
cute.
I know. I miss him. I miss him a lot. I feel like he was like that, the comedy of IG-11. Just speaking of comedy, Mr. Smurf dude.
Oh my god.
I love him. He was back.
You know who
Finally.
I miss. I miss really tall R2 unit. That's who I want to see again.
What's a lava tunnel? That dude? Yeah. He died, didn't he?
I don't know.
In that thingy.
Probably. He probably. Yeah. Yeah.
A
Probably.
lava tunnel guy.
Lava tunnel guy, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
That
I don't
was-
see why he would have not died. I don't.
Okay, you know when when they're inside the tunnels at the very beginning of the episode, not well after the whole like child gets electrocuted part, but in the middle when they're like there's those bad guys in the tunnels. Are they inside the old abandoned Mandalorian tunnels? If so, where's the
Oh.
armor?
Yeah, that was the Mando area. You can see like the part where like the armor forged
Mhm.
armor before, and then obviously Cara comes and takes care of them.
Yeah. Did you guys hear the theory of the armor that's going on?
Oh.
Oh, where she was a part of
The
Maul's
Mandalorian.
like Death Watch.
Yeah, the Mandalorians.
Yes.
Okay.
How are we feeling
Share.
about that? Because
I
okay,
missed
let me.
this.
Someone sent this to me on Twitter.
Okay.
I want to credit them because I would have never known, and I do not know how to say their name. But their ad is Ashton X Niler. Oh my gosh, Niler. Anyways,
It's
they-
that. I mean, that's a 5 seconds of summer and One Direction fan account right there.
they sent me. Wow, we love multi-sans. But they sent me an article. Basically, the armor is the bad guy of the Mandalorian. That's the idea. It's like the armor basically brainwashed Din and all the rest of the clan to think this one way. And it completely, I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense.
I just
Yeah.
watched like a video where they had talked about how obviously like during that whole time where Maul was like in charge of Mandalore and stuff, like there was the faction who like broke off and like followed
Yeah.
him, and that might be where Din's clan comes from.
Or Din. Din's going through an emotional crisis.
I don't know though. Like I have so many questions because it's like they're this cult thing, but then like if they are like the ones who like broke off and followed Maul, like why would they save like Din, you know?
That's a good point.
Like I like that is like the one thing that's like been like eating away at me is like if Din's clan is like supposed to be like bad guys, I guess, like why did they save him, you know?
And why are they just like bounty hunters or like, you know, chilling in the tunnels? Like,
Was Din's clan the one who saved him, or did Death Watch Mandalorians save Din and then he found this group?
that's a good.
I thought Death Watch Mandalorians
They
were the
did.
ones.
Well,
who-
so someone in blue armor, but we saw Paz in last season wearing blue armor, so it was assumed. I assumed it was still his clan that rescued him.
Or is
Yeah.
it just like they have a network
Where's
of clans?
I miss Paz. Oh,
No pass.
But like,
maybe come back.
if they had a network of clans, like I don't know, wouldn't you assume like Din would know there are other clans who live differently than him?
Din's not a very smart guy. We've been over this.
Well,
yeah,
yeah, I mean,
he
he
doesn't go out much.
probably, but I just think he was so young at the time and he was enduring so much emotional trauma that maybe he just might have not pieced that together. I thought I saw something about the Mandalorians that saved Din from his planet had the Death Watch symbol, but
Yeah,
I might be wrong on that.
They do. I mean, we see that. Or do they have like this is also I don't really know a lot about Mandalorian culture, so Kath, you're gonna have to back me up on this one. But or Kenzie.
I'm a
But
librarian, okay? I have all the information.
okay, so they say that he was trained in the fighting corps. Okay. Does that mean that they take kids that they find and they bring them somewhere all together, and then after they're trained, then they go into an assigned clan based on what their job is or whatever? Because if that's so, then all the Death Watch people can bring all them to one place. They get trained, they grow up, and then once they're old enough, they're assigned to a clan who might have different, you know, and they're kind of like separated. They don't really talk to each other and stuff.
Yeah, I haven't watched season 1 or thought about this in a while, so to be honest.
Sorry. I have thoughts. I have a lot of questions going on in my head.
Sorry, so what's a specific question? Like what are you asking?
Well, I don't know if okay, so when they take him, right? Do they all bring them to is it like kind of like all the clans come together and they're all trained together and then they're separated again, or do they like is he, you know, taken as a foundling and then he just goes to one specific clan and in that clan he's trained as whatever?
I think in that clan, I think he's trained in because the fighting corps are a subgroup of the Death Watch. I'm not too sure.
Whatever.
have to really
I
look
don't
into
really
that.
care that much. I'm just here to vibe, you know. I'm thinking too much about this
Oh, same.
that I can't enjoy it. Like I have to pause it. Whenever I watch the episode, I have to pause it like every 2 seconds. Okay.
See, my first watch is like I don't pay attention at all, to be honest. Like I watch it and I like catch one thing and then I have to rewatch it before we talk about it to like actually pay attention. Because the first time I'm like so overwhelmed by
I
everything
usually
going
watch
on.
the episodes like 3 times before we talk about it.
I usually do that too. But not in this
I,
episode. I did
I'll
watch
watch
the
it.
chin scene 7 times.
Oh, same.
And I watched those videos of the loops. I had to know what was going on, you know. But
I was just like in shock. I was like, did they really just do that? Like, did they really just show
that was
that?
a big step.
Yeah,
I was
because
ready.
because season 1, like obviously in the last chapter of season 1, we like saw his whole face, but like, do you remember like the wrist episode? Like everyone was like so shocked that they like showed his wrist.
We were in
it's so risque.
Yeah.
It's
Gonna get a
wrist
whole
K.
Now we have the wrist and the chin. We're just slowly picking off every part of his body. That's not bad. But
Can we guess what next body part is gonna be? Ankles maybe? I don't know.
I was gonna say ankles.
no, but it can be ankles. This is boots.
Yeah, I think
Maybe an ear.
I'm
true.
going for the solid ungloved hand.
and for
That's a
the
big step.
That's
I'm
a
going
big
for the
step, but I
neck.
see it.
Mm.
The neck. I can
glimpse
see
of
that.
neck.
Yeah, I could see some turtleneck slippage. Although like they are wearing like under like like I don't know how they would incorporate that because I know that he's wearing like a turtleneck
Long underwear. Yeah. He's
he
got
wears
like he has a morph suit on underneath.
like yeah.
Oh yeah, when he lifted up his like little thing, like that photo of Pedro with like the thing on, and it's just like that
Yeah.
part.
The-
So I mean, it obviously wasn't Pedro, but when he lifted up the thing, there was no turtleneck. I was like, oh,
Hollywood.
Well,
Hollywood,
the
man.
turtleneck
The
thing-
inconsistency.
Oh, speaking of inconsistencies, can we talk about our Game of Thrones moment from this episode?
Oh,
When I say
yeah.
Game of Thrones moment, I'm referring to the Starbucks coffee cup that was in a background scene of Game of Thrones.
What about
Left
Jeans
on a
guy?
table. Yeah, that's what we're talking
Jeans
about.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a legend.
Oh gosh,
I
that
wonder if he still has a
Ugh.
job.
That
Well, I
poor
think
dude.
it's not his
I'm
fault.
praying for his mental health.
It's definitely more like Carl
The entire
than-
internet is simping over his left leg. I think he's fine.
I don't.
Oh my
Are
gosh.
people simping for him?
Well, like on Twitter, I'll scroll through and they'll be like, "I think I'm in love with Jeans guy," and I was like, "Oh,
Who has
okay."
not
Okay.
Did you see the
thing.
posters? People started making posters of just his side.
Oh, I
like,
saw
have, like,
that somebody made a fake action figure, like Black Series action figure,
I
and it
saw
was just like
that.
the leg, and it just said "Shorts Guy" on the box.
I
I
haven't
love
seen
him.
any of this. Like, I have not seen what.
You haven't seen
Dude, it's so
Pants, dude?
funny. I've seen a lot of it
No.
on Facebook.
I've seen like the thing like about the mix the mess up, but I haven't seen people talking about like I saw people pointing it out like, oh, there was like they left in this part, but I haven't seen anybody like making memes about it.
Oh,
Like,
They're out there.
They're out there.
well, I haven't been active on
it's-
social.
I think it's funny. It brings some spice into it. I didn't notice it at first, so that shows
Oh, I didn't either.
how little. It was very, very fast. So unless you like are looking for it, you won't be able to see it.
We got a ton of Baby Yoda moments
Yeah,
in this episode, child moments,
the child.
and just like so much humor in this episode, to kind of balance out all the serious bombs that were dropped.
Yeah.
So-
And I loved the beginning when Din was trying to get the child to repair the ship. I felt so
love it.
bad. He had no idea what he was doing.
Baby Yoda was the imposter.
Oh my god. Well, like that is such like a dad like
I
that like made me like that reminds me of like when your dad is fixing your car and he makes you hold the flashlight and then he's like, okay, and then you do this and you're just like, okay, like I'm just here to hold the light, like I don't know, dude. And he's like, and then you put this there and I'm just like, okay, dad, good. That was like the exact same thing.
Yes, I thought about that too. I was like, wow, I'm having flashbacks.
Flashback.
To like doing work on my car, and I'm just like over it, and my dad's like to the left. I'm like, okay, to the right, and then Din's like, put the blue wire where the red wire is, and put the red wire where the blue wire is, but don't let them touch. Oh my gosh, it was so
Like,
fun.
and if you actually listen to the instructions Din was giving the child, they were very basic. It was just the way he worded it that made it so difficult. I was like, dude, spit it out.
He's also a baby.
I
So-
know. But like, okay, what he did understand though, what he was able to put together and do, and the fact that he could tell the colors apart, it's like, you
But
know,
did he
that
tell
started
the
a lot
colors
of
apart?
discourse on Twitter about like what is Din like teaching the child, you know?
There's been discourse about Din teaching the child since the first season.
I just
yeah.
I'm like, Din should have just started with one color. He should have just been like red to this, and then let the kid
But
do
he had
that
to
first.
take out the other wire. You can't undo one wire. See, okay, here's okay, electricity lesson right here. When there's two wires inside the plugs, right? When you take one out and the other one needs to go inside that one, then this one needs to come out, and then you have two wires, and then it's like, well,
Back
This
it
thing-
up, Ben Franklin.
Okay, Bill Nye. I failed science class, so I don't really care. Uh,
I thought that was a very good lesson. I know for a fact Pedro was voicing over that, and he didn't even know what he was saying either. I
Oh,
don't think Pedro doesn't know anything about electricity. He was probably
He pays somebody.
that man. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that was a really funny part. I also loved the very end when the child and when he like rescues them and the child just waving his hand to the air.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Like he's on a roller coaster. It was so cute.
It was really cute.
But I think these moments of Din falling short in the father department, like it's just proof that we need a nurse droid back. Oh,
I mean, he's learning. We'll get there. I'm sure. We'll get
well,
there.
we'll give him some credit, but
Why have we
He's
still
got some
not
work to
seen
do.
the toilet?
Didn't we see it in the first episode?
We
I-
didn't
I-
see it.
I didn't.
Or we didn't see it in the first we saw it in the second episode with Froggy Mama.
yeah, we did.
Because when they were running and stuff, and then he was like, "You have to use the bathroom."
Did we get a visual example of how that works?
Yeah, I was
No.
wondering about that. What's the physics? You know,
Would you not just slide off the toilet?
these are good
well,
questions.
It's just like being on an airplane.
There's a difference
Yeah.
between that.
Airplane toilets are not.
Airplane toilets suck you inside the.
I've never used an airplane toilet. I just hold it.
That is bad. Don't do that. That's bad.
I usually sleep
Don't
through my
get
flight.
kidney stones, y'all.
Don't get kidney stones.
I sleep through my flight.
Must be nice. to be able
Bladder
to sleep.
infections,
I-
baby. They exist.
They
But you
exist.
know what else we saw on the Razor Crest? We saw new bed setup that Din and the child have, because Din has his bed and he has a little hammock for the child hanging over it. And we saw that when they took a nap together, because the child is now sharing that space with Din, he doesn't remove the helmet to sleep either. Like, that's gonna be uncomfortable. Like,
There's a lot of people that think that Din has already taken off his helmet in front of the child. We just haven't seen it, but I don't think so. I don't think they would have held
Do you
that.
think it's like padded with foam inside, like football helmets are?
It has to.
I think so.
It has to have something inside, right?
Yeah.
Like rattling around.
A lot of people were talking about like what happens if like he has an itch. Like I just think he just bangs his head across the wall.
maybe there's a little like
It just-
contraption on the inside, and he presses a button, it like vibrates, and
Or like he has like a
Is it
giant
fun?
like stick that he just shoves inside his
Yeah,
oh,
he hits it with one of these.
I really just think that he hits his head. I think he's just like
I think he just like deals with it. Like I think
He just
there's no
suffers.
way. There's no way that man is comfortable. Like I think he's just learned to live with being uncomfortable.
Lady Lorian's answering the important questions.
yeah.
Okay, so I do want to talk about, obviously we saw the return of Cara and Grief. And a lot of people on Twitter have been like discussing this possibility that Cara like might be working for Moff Gideon, and like people have been using like the example of like how Baby Yoda like force choked her last season, and also how she was like, some people were saying they felt like she was like off this episode. I didn't feel that way, but I don't know if any of you guys felt that way.
It's just how she's always been.
I
Well,
think
yeah,
the
She's just
child.
very unemotional.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I think that I just want to say like I had seen people, and some people are thinking that maybe she is like a bad guy, or like she's like being a secret spy and like giving information.
I think the child choking Kara was just because he was trying to protect Din, who was his guardian at that point. Because ever since that happened, and ever since the child was introduced to Kara, we haven't seen him, act negatively towards her, or, give any hint that he feels unsafe around her. So I think that was just like, I'm trying to protect my dad, like, stop, because he didn't understand what was going on. I think that was meant to be like a funny moment, and not something that was meant to be taken super seriously.
Yeah, I totally agree. I didn't think anything of it. I do know some people are like, oh, well, everything in Star Wars means something, but like it's not my take on it.
Yeah, same.
I just think she's had too many opportunities that she could have taken or like had someone take the child. Like when she left him at the school while she knew Din was distracted, someone could have come in and stolen the child and Din would have never known. And she could have just distracted them.
Like I said, I don't think she's like a bad guy. Like I know that a lot of people are saying that. So I wanted to like throw it in there so that can be acknowledged, because personally, like my biggest issue with that like theory that like Cara is working for Moff is that like when we met her, like she was a shock trooper for like the Rebel Alliance, and like after everything with Alderaan like being her home and getting destroyed, like I don't think she would go work for Imperials.
Yeah.
Like there's like no part of like her characterization that makes
Unless
sense.
there's like incentive or blackmail.
Yeah, I guess like if they were like, but we already know that like Grief took care of her like issues with the New Republic. Like basically like her coming to work for him was like the agreement there was that he would make sure that she doesn't have to stay running from the New Republic anymore for being an abandoner or like for abandoning them. That like part of her thing has already been taken care of by Grief, unless like both of them, unless Grief is like also. But I feel like if either of them were bad, like this episode would have been the opportunity for them to like do something.
Yeah. And the planting of the tracker, I don't know if anyone had a connection with them, it would have been Grief. But I don't know. I just don't think Grief would. Everyone's like, oh, Grief is gonna,
Turn on him again.
yeah, turn on him. I don't know. I don't see it. I like Grief. I think he's pretty cool. I feel like he's had a lot of opportunities to. Obviously, he's switched from stealing the child to now loving him. So I don't know.
There was so many like opportunities this episode where like if they were going to betray him, they would have. But
or they wanted him to. They knew how Din was in his journey with the child, and they wanted to find Ahsoka as another donor, possibly.
Yeah, but nobody. I don't think any of that. Like no one knows Ahsoka is still alive, because as far as they're aware, all the Jedi died, and like as far as like Palpatine was aware, all the Jedi died during Order 66. So,
did Vader know that? Vader didn't know Ahsoka died. Vader
he did. He found her. She left her lightsabers for him to find. We saw it in Clone Wars.
But in Rebels.
Oh wait, yeah, frick! I forgot about the Rebels fight.
Well, but Rebels is after the Mandalorian, right?
No, Rebels is pre-originals.
Mandalorian's 5 years after the fall of the Empire.
Yeah, so they probably know.
So yeah, so Vader did know she was alive. Yeah, I totally forgot about like their fight in Rebels.
But I'm pretty sure after their fight in Rebels, Vader was under the impression that she was dead because the temple that they fought in collapsed.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like Vader can sense her though. Like we've seen it.
His mind is probably very much on other things.
Yeah, like he didn't know she was alive until Rebels. So there was all that time in between.
Or there could just be a spy this whole time and they.
Oh yeah, obviously, like I don't know. I don't think there's anything with the two people who like repaired the Razor Crest. Like I don't think they do have a connection to like Moff or not Moff to Grief or them. Like I think that Imperials were obviously in Navarro in season 1, so they probably just already had a connection to like the client from season 1 and stuff, and that's how they ended up like doing the tracker and stuff.
Yeah, I'm so mad about that tracker thing. Oh, that made me so mad.
I know. They said bombshell at the end.
Oh, I'm so upset.
Can I mention something much less interesting, but it was something that stuck out to me? The fact that on Tatooine and Navarro, we have similar local government structures because we both have town marshals. That's been a theme in this season.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I hadn't like really heard them talk about like town marshals in Star Wars before, and now like we've had 2 in the last 4 episodes.
Yeah, it's just very like Wild West, like to me.
I'm here for it.
They're definitely feeding into.
You guys think Cobb Vanth is gonna pop up again?
I hope.
God,
so.
I hope.
He's too pretty to not show up again.
I
Too
thought his
elephants,
character was
please.
genuinely so interesting and clearly
Mhm.
had a very rich backstory too.
I mean,
I would love to see comics about Cobb
Mhm.
Vanth, honestly.
I'm just like Din hasn't done anything with the armor yet. Like he
Yeah.
still has it, so
Mhm.
there's a potential there.
There's potential. I miss him.
I think that Cobb Vanth would be a much cooler sidekick than either Cara or Grief. We could just switch one of them out. Or we can just add Cobb to the bunch and we can have a quartet instead of a golden trio.
like Cobb is too attached to Tatooine to leave.
That's
I
true.
feel like
he does
that-
come
yeah.
down.
He's like one with the Western style there, and he would not survive
The Western
anywhere
style.
else other than
He has that little twang.
a little
talk.
twang. Not from around these parts.
This town ain't big enough for the two of us.
this. Oh my gosh. Cobb Vanth Cobb. Cosplay.
Oh my god.
The Office reference.
Okay, so in chapter 12, we learned two very important things that exist in the Star Wars universe. Number one, school. Number two, macarons.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I
was
was
literally
like, first of all, we put one of the Mon Calamari, or not Mon Calamari. Who do we put? Someone from Akbar's species in a sweater from JCPenney.
Oh my god.
And
Yeah.
now we're feeding children on Navarro French pastries. I was like,
Oh my gosh.
I would like
those
to
look
speak
good.
with the props department.
Those look good. I wanted to have those. I wanted to eat all them. And
Yeah, I mean, they
when-
look delicious. I was just
I
like, they don't look very Star Wars.
when the child threw it up, and then Din just reaches over with his cape and just wipes. Such a dad moment. I felt it in my soul.
Oh, may the force be with you.
And like there was like a little girl in the school who had Ray buns, which was really cute.
Oh,
I love that.
Classic.
Like I know it was like a little Easter egg just like to make us like feel happy, but I loved it.
And I
it when they,
love
like-
seeing the teaching protocol droid too.
Yeah, it was definitely cool to see that and like just see all the little kids like learning and stuff. Because I feel like you don't often like just see like kids living like a domestic life in Star Wars.
Last time we saw some kids learning,
They were clones, weren't they?
Anakin.
Oh, that yeah.
Ra-ta-ta-ta.
And the protocol droid was constructed and played by Chris Bartley, who does a lot of the appearances as C3PO.
I didn't
know that.
Yeah,
Didn't
well,
know.
his voice was dubbed over by a female actor, but that was him in the suit, and it was one that he had also constructed.
He got the C3PO moves down.
He really does.
Okay. On that note.
On that note,
I'll say thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to all our theories about the rest of the season and listening to all of our questions about Mandalorian like culture. It's like really fun to get to explore that a little bit in depth. We want to say happy Thanksgiving if you live in America because that's this week. So have fun, celebrate with your family, spend time with them.
distanced
Distance.
Yes.
safely.
Safe. Stay with your immediate family. And
Yeah.
Oh, also we're all switching it up too. We all like have family too. We're moving around. We're doing some things this next couple of month or two. So you're gonna see some of us on, some of us not on. We're gonna see different backgrounds because we're
Like
all
mine.
yeah.
home.
My
so-
mountain of
Yeah, so just be
child's
prepared.
children.
If room changes and people here or not here, we want to make sure everyone has time to spend time with their family.
Yeah, in case you haven't caught that vibe,
Yeah.
there's a lot of us. So every week there's going to be different people. It's always like going to be whoever's schedule can be here. We want to make sure that all of us are taking our time too if we need a break. So that's why some weeks all of us are here. Some weeks only 4 of us are here. We'll see what happens throughout the holidays. Obviously, this is going to be a different experience for all of us doing this during the holidays. But thank you guys for listening. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube, you subscribe, you like, you comment, maybe anything you have to say about this episode or this season in general. If you listen on Apple or Spotify, make sure to subscribe. And if you listen on Apple, leave us a review if you feel it in your heart to do so.
We see them all.
Also, please, if you are driving and listening to the podcast, drive safely and pay attention to the road.
Yes.
Yes,
do not
we
get
got a
pulled over.
review last week that said a listener did not notice they were getting pulled over on the road because
Shout
they were
out to,
so engaged.
Shout out to James, I believe. He did DM us on
Yes.
Twitter and say that he was the one who left that review. So
I say
don't get pulled over this week.
don't
please.
do that. We can't afford a lawsuit. We're too young
real.
for this.
Yeah. No.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Bye, and see you guys next week.
Bye.
This is the
With
way.
you.
This is the way.